Good morning and welcome to KidNuz. I'm Kim. Today is Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. And we begin with a new king of the pumpkin patch, at least in the U.S. Just last week, a New York State gourd tipped the scales at 2,554 pounds to set a new national Guinness record. But that honor only lasted until yesterday, when a monster from Minnesota weighed in at 2,560 pounds. Farmer and horticulture teacher Travis Ginger knew he had a big one when he towed it from his upper Midwest hometown all the way to California for the annual Half Moon Bay Pumpkin Weigh-Off. He named his super squash Maverick and sweated out every bump on the 2,000-mile, 35-hour road trip. Pre-weigh-in, he wrote to his Facebook friends, "Whatever happens, win, lose, or draw, I think this will be the pumpkin I hang my hat up with." Now, Travis can hang up his hat with a big victory, a new national record, and $23,000 in prize money. Fun fact, when the Half Moon Bay contest began in 1974, winning pumpkins barely topped 100 pounds. These days, much more attention is paid to the seeds and the entire growing process. Get out the tissues and chicken noodle soup. Flu season could be a doozy this year. According to U.S. News and World Report, experts worry that because the last two flu seasons were mild and fewer people got the flu vaccine, low levels of immunity will make this year's season more severe. Add to that the relaxation of COVID measures like mask wearing and social distancing, and the flu virus may spread much faster than it usually does. The biggest hint about what's ahead comes from the Southern Hemisphere, particularly Australia, where the country had its worst winter flu season in 5 years. How can we prepare? The CDC recommends everyone 6 months and older get vaccinated. They say the best time to do that is now. There's a silver lining for a Florida woman in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. Ashley Garner of Fort Myers lost her diamond wedding ring outside her home just days before the hurricane hit. According to USA Today, her family searched and searched, but pretty much gave up hope once Ian slammed ashore. While the Garner's home didn't flood, 150-mile-an-hour winds left piles of trees and brush all over their neighborhood. And it was in the cleanup of that mess, specifically a pile next to the garage door, that Ashley's husband spotted something shiny. Lo and behold, there was the wedding ring. Garner says she sat on the curb in shock and took it as a sign of hope for the entire community. Anything is possible. Chris Nikic of Florida is now the first person with Down syndrome to complete the Ironman Triathlon World Championship. He did it in Kailua Kona, Hawaii this weekend by swimming 2.4 miles, biking 112 miles, and then running a full 26.2-mile marathon. With the help of his volunteer guide, Chris finished the championship race in 16 hours, 31 minutes, and 27 seconds, a full half hour before the 17-hour cutoff time. Chris isn't new to making history. His latest accomplishment comes 1 year after he ran into the record books at the New York City Marathon, and 2 years after being the first to complete a regional Ironman. The National Gallery of Art's newest exhibit, called Vermeer's Secrets, is showcasing a secret of its own. One of the paintings in the exhibit, thought to be painted by the famous 17th century Dutch artist, may not actually be a Vermeer. Art researchers at the Washington, D.C. Museum believe the painting, called Girl with a Flute, could not possibly be the artist's because it lacks his precision and paint layering characteristics. They are now looking into whether it could be the work of an assistant, a family member, or a student, but say there are no surviving notes mentioning anyone else in his studio. According to NPR, this is quite a shock to the art world, as Vermeer was thought to be a lone genius with only 35 known paintings to his name. That's it for KidNuz. Now today's quiz. What is the name of the pumpkin that yesterday set a new U.S. record? Maverick. How fast did a man with Down syndrome complete the Hawaii Ironman triathlon? 16.5 hours. What did a Florida woman lose and then find again after Hurricane Ian? Her wedding ring. What is the name of the Vermeer painting that may not be a Vermeer? Girl with a Flute. In today's Kid News Kicker, if you're in the mood to pamper your pooch, a new San Francisco eatery may be the place to do it. The newly opened restaurant, called The Doggy, offers a range of fancy treats and even French cuisine tailored specifically to dogs. The restaurant's in-house patisserie offers healthy and tasty nibbles, including doggachinos and pastries for $4.95. For those wanting to splurge, there's a $75 tasting menu each Sunday that includes items like organic beef chuck with carrots and beets. The owner tells the LA Times he is approaching it like a human restaurant. He says, "It's as if you have come to my restaurant and the star guest is your dog." Before we head out, we want to say a big hello to Mrs. McGuire's Mustangs at Taylor Elementary in Centerville, Utah. In Illinois, Mrs. Whitler and her Cubs at Olney School in Olney, and Mrs. Bossingham, Mrs. Elmer, and Miss Klein's Vikings at Washington Monroe Elementary in Lincoln. Mrs. Schoenfelder and her students at North Loop Elementary in El Paso, Texas. Let's go Jaguars! And Mr. Hora's Prairie Hawks at Prairie Heights Elementary in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you back here for more Kid News tomorrow morning.